Hey, it's Theo and thank you for joining me. Today we have another massive balance patch coming to Hearthstone. Now this patch will be live within an hour of this video, so by the time you're watching this, there's a good chance it's already live. And yeah, this patch, it's massive, maybe not as big as the previous patch where over 20 cards got nerfed, but nonetheless there's very few patches that have as many card changes as this one. So let's go over them. But first, let's go over the dev comment. These changes are a continuation of the changes we made in patch 30.0, the one I mentioned with the 20 nerfs, to remove unfun play patterns and give Into the Emerald Dream the best chance to shine. Many of these changes are to cards and strategies that are unfun to play against, even if they're not overly powerful. We're also adjusting a few power outliers, including buffs. We don't normally do balance changes this early after an expansion, but we thought making a few changes now would best align our goals for the set with our patch schedule. And yeah, there were a few outliers, and yeah, they were kind of to be expected, right? We got the rotation, the new expansion, and then all those nerfs we had. So it kind of makes sense we needed another patch, and it's good they're doing it relatively quickly after the expansion launch. Now let's go over the changes. First of all, we got the Hideous Husk. And yeah, that gets changed from leeching 2 extra to 1 extra. So with this on the board, your leeches will steal 2 health only. Now this is a pretty sizable nerf, I'd say, right? Because a lot of times you're hitting 3 health minions with this, and yeah, that no longer will happen. I think it's still gonna see play, but definitely a lot weaker now. And yeah, it's not as scary anymore, and it won't kill people fast enough even through armor. But I think it's still gonna see play. I think it's still good enough, but definitely taking a big hit. Now let's go to the next one, the Amphibian Spirit. And yeah, it's the new card. It's going from 2 to 3 mana. And yeah, this was played in the Zerg Egg Hunter, which I think was the highest win rate deck for quite a while. And it makes sense to yeah, nerf a card, or even 2. We'll get to another one later. But yeah, this card, yeah, it was really annoying to deal with, right? Like, yeah, you don't clear the board, and it just keeps buffing their minions over and over. Now, I feel like personally it was better to nerf the Terra Skill Stalker, maybe, because yeah, that had better stats, and that would kind of nerf this card as well. And yeah, then you don't get those Stobo early turns with the egg into Terra Skill Stalker, but I guess this kind of does the job as well. But still, I would have preferred to see the Stalker nerfed instead of this one, since this is a new card. But hey, nice for the dust, right? Then next card we have is Murmur. It's going from 6 to 7 mana. And yeah, these kind of cards, I don't know why they keep making these kind of cards. These kind of cards just make for so many unfun games. Like often it's the deck, yeah, either plays this card and they probably win, or they don't have it and they lose, because yeah, if you ever see the Shaman without Murmur, yeah, they're pretty helpless, but yeah, when they do have it, they can get a full board of 8 dates, ramp 9 mana, like all kinds of crazy stuff that yeah, almost no deck can counter reasonably. And yeah, I don't know why they keep making these cards, right? We have this one, we've had Dungar, we've had Thaddeus. Like, can we just stop making those cards? It just makes the game worse, and yeah, it makes for so many non-games where decisions don't matter. I really wish they would stop making these. And this card, yeah, being nerfed from 6 to 7 mana, yeah, I mean, it slows it down, which is good, because yeah, the earlier this came down, right? Bigger the impact, but still, I prefer these cards just to not exist at all. I just don't think they make the game better. Then the next nerf is a Food Fight, going from 3 to 4 mana. Now, this was currently mostly played in like a Briarspawn Drake deck, where that was the only minion you could summon of this, and then, yeah, on turn 3, turn 4, the opponent had a 12 attack dragon that instantly attacked one of yours. Often you took like 10 damage to the face, and then you had to clear it, and yeah, even if you cleared it, they would just resummon it over and over, and yeah, basically punish you for playing minions. And yeah, that just isn't very fun. It's not one of those decks that's just probably better to not have in the game. And yeah, this one definitely slowing it down is big, right? Because those kind of decks really need to get it going early on, and yeah, +1 mana is 1 turn later, and by then, yeah, you have more time to prepare, and yeah, it really lessens the impact of getting those dragons early on the board. So yeah, good it's getting nerfed. I just hope it's enough, but I think it should be, considering it's already not the strongest deck right now. Then next nerf is Spawning Pool. Yeah, Zerg is getting nerfed again. It got hit pretty hard with the last patch, but I didn't really care. If anything, it got stronger, right? Right now it has the strongest deck in Location Warlock. So yeah, it makes sense for gonna nerf that deck. And you already maybe saw this Seaside Giant earlier, but yeah, this one, it's a pretty big deal, I think, for any Zerg deck, because yeah, it means yeah, no longer this on turn 1. Often that was the only turn 1 play decks had. It just delays everything, and it's a pretty huge nerf, right? 1 to 2 mana. Like 1 mana, it's pretty easy to play in a turn, but 2 mana definitely makes it harder to play. And well, yeah, I think Zerg decks will still play this card. I think it's yeah, gonna take him down a notch, because yeah, this one was pretty important for those decks. Then also Terran decks are getting nerfed again. We've got the lift off going from 3 to 4 mana, and yeah, that's also a pretty big deal, right? Like often you could play this on 3, then maybe a starport, another 2-drop on 4, and now you have to wait the whole extra turn to do this. And all it does is draw 2 and get you a 2-1, so it's a really bad tempo. And well, yeah, again, it's still going to draw your Terran cards, and you're still going to play it in Terran decks. It should really slow down the Terran decks. No longer like Shaman wants to triangulate this, maybe, because it's just really expensive for just one starship piece. Especially when the starship pieces are worse now as well, right? So this nerf will definitely make the Terran decks a lot worse. And then the draw 2 cards for Protoss is also going to up by 1 mana. Chrono Boost is going from 4 to 5 mana. And yeah, it's also a pretty big deal, especially this card, because it got even played in basically non-Protoss decks, right? Like you had the aggro priest decks to just play this for this and copy it just to get the chargers. And yeah, that's a pretty big deal for those decks, because slowing this down, it's not as good anymore to use it just for the charge damage mostly. And then it's harder to copyright. You need another turn. And yeah, upping this by 1 mana, I think it's really going to hit those more aggressive decks to just play this one for the damage. And also just the slower decks to just play full Protoss package, though I don't think it's as impactful for those, maybe, but yeah, it definitely hits them. And yeah, especially with the next nerf as well. Artanis going from 7 to 8 mana. Yeah, this was a bit weird that all the other hero cards went from 7 to 8, but not this one. But yeah, now it's also going to 8 because, yeah, it's a pretty strong hero card. Just by itself is almost good enough to see play with, getting 2 chargers and a great hero power with it. You almost don't even need the discount with this to work. But yeah, going to 8 mana, yeah, it's still going to be a good card. Just, yeah, not as good again in those aggressive decks. And yeah, just slows down all the Protoss decks. And you can already see the next card is the Arcanite Defense Crystal. Yeah, this card with the Armor Demon Hunter, not very fun, so something had to be done about it. So it's going from a 4 mana 3/4 to a 5 mana 4/5. And yeah, that's a pretty huge nerf for the Armor Demon Hunter, because, yeah, basically the deck doesn't work anymore, right? Because, yeah, this card going to 5 mana means the Fell Hunter can't summon it anymore, and then the whole chain is broken for it. So, yeah, the deck should be dead, and I think everybody's happy about it. It's just better to not have that deck in the game. Also, yeah, other Starship decks are getting nerfed by this. I feel like we could have given this card like 5 armor, right? Just to be equal with its health total. But yeah, this card has been pretty prevalent in the meta, so I can see them just nerfing it like this to also just reduces play rate in other decks. Then one of the biggest nerfs we got, one of the most important ones, is Seaside Giant, going from 10 mana to 9 mana, but costs now 1 less instead of 2 less for each location used. So this is a gigantic nerf, because instead of needing to use your location 5 times, you now need to use it 9 times to plays for 0, and yeah, that's pretty massive. This card probably won't see play anymore, right? Because the power of this kind of card is that it can come down very early, like turn 3 for Hunt or turn 4 for Warlock, it can come down, and that's what made those decks so powerful. So nerfing this to the 9 mana version, yeah, basically makes this only come down later in the game. And by then, it's yeah, it's kind of too slow or not too relevant anymore. It's definitely not going to see play in Hunt anymore. They don't have enough locations for this, and even in Warlock, yeah, that deck really relied on these giants coming out early on the board and then push the damage with it, while then your locations, the damage locations, finish the opponent off. And yeah, that taking away just means they kind of lack that early mid-game strength. And yeah, that's going to really hurt those decks. But hey, I'm happy to see it, right? Turn 4 or 5 0 mana giants. It's not good for the game, so I'm happy that this card is hopefully dead. Then, we already discussed it a bit with Murmur, but yeah, finally Dungar is getting nerfed. They should have done this nerf before, but they instead nerfed the ramp card, which I didn't really understand. But yeah, it's good they nerfed it to 10 mana. It's not really seeing much play this meta, but it's also not something that you want to see play. So it's good to change it now to prevent the Dungar from taking over the meta again. Far too late to nerf, but I guess better late than never. And then the biggest nerf, technically, is to Seasonal Expanse. It gets a mana increase of 25 mana. I think that's by far the biggest mana increase we've ever had. But of course, with this card, sometimes it's just getting nerfed from 0 mana to 0 mana. But yeah, I think that's a pretty big nerf, because 25 mana, that's probably like 2-3 turns extra it takes before you can play this card. And yeah, that's pretty vital, because yeah, the longer you wait on the board clear, the worse it gets. And yeah, I think this card will be getting cut from a lot of decks, because it just takes too long to get this one going, and yeah, by then it's not as effective anymore. I kind of ever see this card still being played in like the really slower decks that still want that late game board clear, and maybe like a combo decks like an Imbue Mage that really need that empty board to push all the damage phase with a card like Icena. But yeah, and I feel like in most meta decks, it's not really going to be worth it anymore because it's just going to be stuck in your hand for too long before it's going to be playable. So yeah, pretty sizable nerf, but yeah, this card was played a bit too much, and yeah, every deck getting a free board reset late game probably wasn't the best for the game. And that is it for the nerfs, but there's also some big buffs, so let's go over those. First of all, we got the Resplendent Dreamweaver, which used to be that 4 mana 5/4 that deals 5 damage to a minion if you've imbued twice, but yeah, didn't really see play. But now it's going to be a 4/4 with lifesteal, deal 4 damage to a minion if you imbued twice. So I think this is a really big upgrade because yeah, we've seen a card like this, right, in the Gyreworm for Priest before, that although that could go phase, it's like, it's a very strong card, and that needed to be forged often, so it was even 6 mana. And yeah, this for 4 mana, getting to heal 4, deal 4, and then have a 4/4 lifestone board. I think this is a pretty big upgrade. But yeah, the Imbue decks kind of need it. They've been rather weak, to say the least. Now, the next buff we have is the Symbiosis, which now makes the cards you discover cost 1 less. And there's obviously a buff to the Imbue Druid, because yeah, that really needed some help, just like all the other Imbue decks. And yeah, this card was kind of clunky sometimes, because the cards of it aren't that great always. The Choose One cards have been pretty weak overall, but it changes quite a big buff because we've seen cards like this before, like a Studies, where yeah, you discover cards and then well, the next one or this one may cost 1 less, and that's pretty good, right? You already were playing this in the Imbue Druid, but this is a nice upgrade for it. Makes it much easier to play the cards you discover, especially the weaker ones. So this is very nice for the Imbue Druid. Now let's go over to the Imbue Priest, which is getting not 1 but 2 buffs. First of all, we got the Calderai Priestess, going from a 4 mana 4/4 to a 3 mana 3/3, and that's a pretty big upgrade, because now you can curve the 2-drop Lunar Wing into this on 3 into the 4-drop Imbue card. And yeah, that's a really nice curve. And yeah, just getting to Imbue early is a huge right. You want to Imbue as fast as possible with Imbue decks, especially with Priest, so you can get that value of the hero power. And yeah, you can definitely do that now with this buff. So nice buff to Priest. And the second buff, not as big, but still nice. The Lunar Wing Messenger goes from a 3/1 to a 3/2, and yeah, just nice because now it survives a bunch of hero powers, a bunch of AoE, so just a nice little buff that should help it out a bit to have more of an impact early on, and that's kind of where the Priest does struggle, but with these 2 buffs, should go a long way. Now also receiving a buff is Imbue Shaman, or again, 2 buffs I guess, just like Priest. We've got first the Aspect's Embrace. It's now gonna be drawing a card. Yeah, this card felt really weak before, like you still had to play it in Imbue deck because you need all the Imbues you can get. But yeah, just restoring 4 health and Imbue for 2 mana. It felt a little weak, so I could have made this 1 mana, but instead they gave it draw. So that's quite a big buff, right? Because draw is really powerful on a card, and yeah, adding it to a card that you always want to be playing anyway. It's really strong. I don't know if we'll make Imbue Shaman work, of course, because it's not that strong right now. But yeah, pretty big buff, and it's probably going to make it one of the strongest cards in the deck now. The next up, we also have the next Shaman card being buffed is the Living Garden, going from a 2/3 to a 2/4. Yeah, this is a very small buff, I'd say, right? Because you wanted to evolve this card. So yeah, then the health doesn't really matter, but yeah, it's a small upgrade, right? Slightly harder to kill. There's a lot of cards that deal 3 damage, not 4, so you can play this. They can't maybe kill it off immediately, and then you can evolve it the turn after, because yeah, your opponent doesn't want to kill this, right? When you have the Imbue hero power. So a small, nice buff, but shouldn't be too impactful. And that is it for all the buffs and nerfs. So yeah, there's quite a few of them, and yeah, they should have a pretty big impact on the meta. Like all the top tier decks are getting hit quite hard, or some of them at least, and yeah, it should make for a lot of changes, and especially those Imbue decks should get a lot stronger now. So what do you think is going to change the most? Which deck do you think is going to be good now that wasn't good before? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos on this meta, and in a few days I'll have a video with the best decks of this meta. Thank you for watching, and until next time.